subjects, Manav, which are very, very important to be taught to law students, like cyber laws, competition laws, space laws, maritime laws, as a part of compulsory subject, they are never taught. Forget that. Even when you people are studying law of torts as the first year students, you don't study Motor Vehicles Act, which is mostly used for your practice. So the education has to be practically oriented. It cannot be theoretically based completely, which is the case in our university. The syllabus has not been changed over the years. We still come, enter the classroom, we just talk about sections, articles, and we move out of the class. That is not the way students should learn law. Interning is a very vital aspect of legal education, but unfortunately, the Bar Council of India has put up restrictions that a student can intern only during his summer break and winter break. I personally completely disagree with this kind of rule. It absolutely is based on unsubstantial reasoning. You feel the students will not study if they are sent to internship. Do you realize how much the students learn while they are interning? Much more than when they are sitting in the classrooms or listening to such kind of rote learning lectures. And when you say students must intern only in summer and winter, it's absolutely unreasonable. In summer and winter, the courts are not functioning regularly. You only have a vacation court. So the child is deprived of attending proper matters and regular courts. The law firms are mostly on vacations because they too get break only in summer and winter. And that is the time when the Bar Council of India very intelligently advocates to send students for internship. I absolutely disagree. I believe students should be interning throughout the year. They must intern, they must get hands-on experience. You learn only theory in the classrooms. 3 years LLB, you pass out, you ask a person, have you read about the High Court rules? No, nothing. Because the High Court rules are never taught in college. PIL is taught as a topic in Constitution and Administrative Law. Has anybody ever discussed the rules for filing a PIL with the student? No. My concern is practical based teaching and learning pedagogy is required in Mumbai University. With regards to how to do internships in COVID, now this is an exceptional situation. So for me also, if I want to take up interns, if I want to encourage internships, I'm the placement faculty in charge. My difficulty is most of the offices are shut due to COVID. Every law firm, every lawyer is not happy with online internship because online internship is an added liability for the lawyer or the law firm. There is nothing much as learning beyond research. If I have to teach drafting, suppose if I say, all right, Manav has joined, he needs to draft a notice. You first need a draft of notice. You blindly cannot look into that and the given facts to be replaced by the previous notice. You must know how to put in the words correctly. What should the law be there to be applied? So in COVID, for the first years, I'm sorry to say it's little tough time. We will have to wait till the scenario dilutes a bit and we get back to our routine life. But somewhere in the month of June, we hope after the exams of the first semester, students can start interning. In the last winter, November, December, for JCCL, almost 40 students have been placed as interns.
Okay. Now, speaking of internship, a couple of questions that come to mind are what is expected out of an intern who is going into a law firm?
Well, that depends whether the student is interning for the first time or the student is interning throughout interning his 2 3 years of LLB. That differs. If the student is a fresher, nothing is expected. For the student has no experience, the student in the first internship firstly needs to understand the office environment, the matters which are handled, the core area of practice of that particular law firm. So learning is for the first 1 or 2 weeks to get acquainted with the law firm and its working procedure. And after that, little bit of work will be given. Basically, in first internship, all law firms start with research on judgments, research on various aspects of legal provisions which are given to you. The next step will be that new matter will be given to you that you may draft a minor draft. So like a notice or an affidavit, so or a synopsis or ancillaries of writ petitions or suits or whatever. So basic drafting. So initially, the student who is going for internship, he must do some research about the law firm where he's going, the kind of matters which are handled there, and read more. Reading is the secret. Students need to read more about the area of practice, the laws of practice which are used in that firm, the recent judgments. These days, we only read on WhatsApp headlines. This happened, that happened. Please open up the entire judgment. We are blessed with technology at our fingertips. Don't only read the headline and leave it. Read it thoroughly. What were the arguments put forth by both the counsels? How has the judge classified the arguments? How has the judge analyzed and finally concluded for the observation which he makes and the decision he gives? So go on reading more judgments, go on reading more provisions of law that will help you to be a good intern.
Okay. Okay, so that answers the second question as well. How do you make most out of your internship? Now we have the APJ Abdul Kalam research paper that you had written. Beautifully well drafted paper. You got an award from the Missile Man of India himself. What was that feeling like?
Actually, I have got my doctorate awarded at the hands of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. It was my PhD degree, which is awarded by Dr. Abdul Kalam. It was a wonderful feeling. No need to express. I mean, one falls short of words to express that moment of pride and gratitude towards the Almighty that I was blessed to be awarded my doctorate at the hands of His Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. It was a historic moment of my life, and I really feel blessed to get this at the hands of Dr. Abdul Kalam. I also feel equally blessed to get the foreword of Dr. V.R. Krishna Iyer, Justice Krishna Iyer, who wrote the foreword for my book, Legalizing Euthanasia, A Pedagogue's Perspective. Justice Krishna Iyer is known as a judiciary in himself in this country. He died on his 100th birthday, and my book's foreword was the last foreword. So I'm immensely blessed in life to have Dr. Kalam's blessings and Mr. Krishna Iyer's blessings in these two forms in my life.
Great. So please tell us more about your book. Please let us know the motivation for writing the book, the reasonings of the book. What does the book cover? tell us about it.
The recent book, I mean, Unlocking Positivity, you're talking about?
Legalizing Euthanasia, A Pedagogue's.
Legalizing. All right. Legalizing Euthanasia was my first book, which I published in the year 2014-15. So basically, it was my PhD topic where I had done a lot of research for 7 years, which is a very interesting topic called euthanasia. And I compared it with right to die with dignity in exceptional cases. So I always feel that life is worth to live with dignity as per hundreds of judgment of the Honorable Apex Court of this country. So why is it that we do not have a dignified exit to our life? Why are we made to suffer indignity while we are dying? And this is only in cases of terminal illness. This discussion does not come in picture for people who are frustrated with life out of love breakups and divorces and property issues and job issues. No. This discussion of right to die with dignity is only and only with the purview of terminal illness, which is a critical study. So I feel every human being has a right to die in a dignified manner. When life is celebrated so much, why should death be such a poignant fact? Let it be easy, let it be painless, let it be full of worth when we die. We should not be forced to live our life by the assistance of medical technology, because medical technology is equipped today to keep us alive endlessly. And therefore, that endless survival without dignity does not mean right to life under Article 21, which has been beautifully explained by Justice Bhagwati in Menka Gandhi's case. So life is not mere animal existence, but it means life full of honor and dignity. And therefore, my take on this is that every human being who is in a terminal illness phase should be allowed to pass away with dignity.
Hmm.
My second book is on surgical strike for population explosion in this country, which I feel is again a major issue which India is facing. Had it not been that, we could have controlled COVID much better. So that's one book which has a foreword by former Chief Justice of Orissa High Court, Lordship J. Narayan Patel. And my recent book is on unlocking positivity. As I said, I'm a very positive and a hopeful human being, and I felt during last COVID it was very important for people to keep up their hopes and aspirations, because hope is the only thing which can completely pull you off from any and every situation you have in life. So for me, it's not important how many days you have in life, but I look at it how much life you have in each day.
Great. Now, say because of your positivity, the COVID times are overwhelming in terms of both financial crisis, healthcare crisis. People are scared every day they might not live. People are scared every day they might not be able to provide. What are the practical hands-on tips that you would give to someone who is dealing with all of these issues? Someone who has, like, someone who feels helpless because their family members have COVID and they cannot enter the room, but they can only hear that particular person in pain, suffering, in agony. But he has to put up a masquerade of nothing has happened, everything is good, so that the person who is going through this terminal, who is going through this disease, is feeling a little better, gets a certain hope. But on the inside, that particular person who has the responsibility feels helpless. And on top of it, he may or may not have his job. He is constantly in that fear that tomorrow I may not have the job with this responsibility. What is the practical tip that you would give to that person?
Very simple, Mana. Everything depends on the way you think. And this is not merely to make a statement. You all can cross check it with Harvard research. Scientifically, it is proved. It is not a spiritual or a religious aspect which I'm mentioning before you. It is a scientifically proven fact. Whatever we think, we speak. Whatever we speak, we do. And whatever we do, it happens. So, whatever you think ultimately happens. Why is it so important to think positive? It is not the case that, okay, I have COVID. Now, you gave an example that it is so difficult for a family member to see the other family members wearing masks. They are positive, they are quarantined in one room, and I cannot go and talk to them. What is my plight? Why are you looking at this situation in this manner? Had I been in that person's position, I would have looked at it in this situation. I'm so blessed that I can see my family members in my house. I'm so blessed they are not taken to a hospital. I'm so blessed they are right in the house in front of me.
Hmm.
It depends, Manav, how you look at the situation. I can give you a glass of water which has half water in it. You can
Hmm.
either look at it as a glass filled with half filled, or you look at it as glass half empty.
Hmm.
That's your way of looking at it. I'm a positive person. I will say, oh, the glass is half full. I will never
Hmm.
say the glass is half empty. It means one and the same. But what you think makes an impact on you.
Hmm.
We are indeed going through a very, very tough phase. Each one of us, including me, we are sailing from last March till this April in the worst situation. We have experienced deaths of our dear ones. We have experienced the fear. When you come to the part of fear that will I have my job? Will I lose my job? What will happen to me tomorrow? Please understand, the most important aspect of life is to live life in the present moment. You have
Hmm.
no idea whether tomorrow you will be alive or no, because
Hmm.
every day 1 million people die in this world, not because of COVID, overall deaths in the world. So when
Hmm.
we open our eyes in the morning, be grateful to the Lord that you have opened your eyes. Don't start thinking whether I'll earn, shop band hai, lockdown hai, ye hai, wo hai. You are alive is the greatest gift of God. Rest of the things will fall in its place. It matters how you think. All the time we are bothering ourselves. I should not get COVID. I should not get COVID. I should not get. Why? Tell yourself, I will not get COVID. Tell yourself affirmative statements. The more
Hmm.
affirmative approach you have, the better life you live. Happiness is not a condition.
Hmm.
Happiness is not a goal that, okay, I will achieve happiness. That is how you look at it. Okay, let me get 90% in 10th. I'll be happy. Let me get 90% in 12th. I'll be happy. Let me get admission in engineering, medical, law. I'll be happy. Let me crack first semester. I'll be happy. You will never be happy like this.
Hmm.
Be happy just because you are alive. Be happy that you are there. We are somewhere living in such a materialistic world that we have complicated life like anything. I always say it is so easy to be simple, but we have made life so difficult to be simple. So today it has become difficult to be simple. It's so simple, but we have complicated it. I don't know why we all look at life in a very stereotype manner. See, we hold a pen in a particular position, we hold a glass in a particular position, we hold the phone in a particular position, we hold a flower in a particular position. Everything is held by the hand. Okay,
Hmm.
all these three, four things are held by the hand,
Hmm.
but the position of the hand changes. Why
Hmm.
can't we change the position of our thoughts? Why do we always have the worrisome thoughts in our mind? Try it. Try happy thoughts. Try being positive. Try being hopeful in life. Because if you are not hopeful, no person can overcome COVID. You have to have a positive approach.
Hmm.
Immunity doesn't only mean taking doses of medicines, taking vitamin D and zinc and vitamin C. Immunity means having inspiration from within. Be happy, live happy.
I think be happy, live happy is a very good note to end the particular podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being on board. Thank you so much for the knowledge that you've shared with us, with the viewers, with the students. We really hope to see you in the next podcast that we are planning to happen live. Like this is a recorded version of the podcast. What we are planning is to have a live version where not only do we have a pre-set of questions that we have filtered through, we get questions from the audience, we get a Q&A session from the audience. So those who are listening may get questions whilst listening, and they can post it live to us and we can get them answered. So we really hope to see you in the next session. All the links for ma'am's work, ma'am's books, ma'am's research papers, and the PIL of that ma'am had filed against the Comedy Collective AIB will be shared in the description below. You can go through them, you can read them, and if you have any questions, and I really hope that ma'am comes on board with a live podcast, you can certainly put it and we can get those answered. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am.
Thank you. Good day.